안녕하세요, 바다입니다. 오늘은 크로클 커뮤니티 매니저 페리와 관계자들이 앞으로의 크로클 업데이트에 대해 얘기를 나눈 영상을 준비했습니다. 골드패스와 전설 배경, 밸런스 변경, 마법 간식까지 추가된 사항들이 있으니 끝까지 집중해서 봐주시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 먼저 최근에 논란이었던 골드패스에 관한 내용입니다.
So David, in the beginning of the month, we had a very difficult situation. A little bit more about the decision of removing the skin from the gold pass.
Because in the Clash team, we always have the best intentions of the player in mind. But like Clash is a game that's been around for 12 years and we want Clash to be around for 20, 30, 40 more years. We want Clash to be a game that's remembered forever. And if we don't do things that are in the best interest of players, that will not happen. And will be a game that's remembered for a couple of decades at most. But to your question specifically, why we removed the skin from the gold pass? Because a lot of those players, when they think of skins, they get the value from exclusivity. And if we're giving out these skins to players that don't really care about them, that's not good for those players and the value that they get from this thing that they care about.
Speaking about fixing the issue, we did roll back and we added the skin back in the past, right?
Yeah.
So could you talk a little bit more about that decision as well as like rolling back?
Yeah, okay, before we get to that, I just want to give one more reason for why we removed it. So we did talk about how decos are more kind of available to more town halls versus skins. And so that is also an important part of it, because if you're a Town Hall 7 or 8 and we put like a Royal Champion skin in there, you have to wait a lot of Town Halls until you get it. And I know you could argue that why don't we just have like a skin currency system? And we did think about that, but that's really complex. And then people also could say that why don't you just put the scenery in there, because that is available for lower town halls. But the problem with that is that it still has the same problem. Like, we don't think that people would buy the Gold Pass because of that even. And so we don't want to put something in there that relies on exclusivity. And decos are something that can actually be a good thing in terms of abundance. Like, you can provide them in abundance and it's not necessarily a bad thing. But then, okay, moving on to your question of why we kind of like how we reacted quickly. So we soon found out that actually it seems that maybe the skins were important reason why you buy the Gold Pass. And as soon as we realized that that was the way, then we were no longer working in the best interest of the players. So as soon as we figured that out, we're like, okay, we need to turn this around. And we did. We turned it around straight away. Because we knew that this would be a controversial thing to do, we should have let the players know well in advance to get the dialogue going. And that's where the failure is. And that's what we apologize for. And that's what we'll do better on in the future.
But back to the question, still talking about adding the skin back to the Gold Pass. Everyone noticed that the skin is a legendary skin. And some players were a bit confused and maybe expecting that the skin rarity is going to be changed to rare. So could you talk a little bit more about this as well?
Yeah, so when we realized that this was the wrong move to make, we wanted to more than make up to it, to the players for it. So that skin will remain legendary. And that's why we also added even more things on the silver side of the track.
Can we expect any more controversial changes related to the Gold Pass in the future?
At the moment, the Gold Pass is like a one pass fits all sort of setup. And we have some changes in mind where, personalize it a bit more depending on what town hall you're in, depending on how you engage in the game. So this should be a clear positive for the players in terms of the Gold Pass.
다음은 전설 배경 스킨과 그보다 더 높은 신화 스킨에 관한 내용입니다.
In Clash, we're trying to become more cosmetic focused when it comes to monetization. And the reason we want to do that is because we want to have monetization that is as fair as possible. So if we think about the different ways we can monetize, it's like just pay to win, and that's something we don't want to do, and I hope the players don't think we do that. They have no impact on gameplay, and it's a super fair way to monetize.
And said all that, how often do we plan to release this new tier of scenery?
At the moment, we're thinking like 3 to 4 times max a year. And the months that we don't do the legendary scenery, we'll have the regular scenery selling as usual.
Can we expect something similar for skins, like even like top tier above legendary for skins?
Yeah, maybe. Like we've talked about potentially this sort of mythic tier skin idea. But we'll see how it goes. Like, I think we do have other plans in store for cosmetics, but if we have the time, we would definitely like to look into a higher tier for skins as well.
Do we have any other plans you can share regarding cosmetics for Clash of Clans?
And so the one thing we're thinking a lot about now is emotes, and not necessarily just emotes in the chat, but emotes like as an attacker, as a defender, you can use emotes in a different situation. We're still talking about it, we're still planning about it, but this could be potentially the next step for Cosmetic.
다음은 보물 사냥 이벤트와 골드 패스에 관련된 내용입니다.
Many players already talking about having these type of randomized rewards, and they're worried about what does this mean for Clash of Clans in the future.
Purpose of this is to create more fun in the game. It's not monetization related, and we have no plans to sell these boxes. It's all going to be connected to engagement and event. We do not plan to sell these things for money.
The availability of these chests, where we can find them, other places in the game.
But if it goes well, we would plan to maybe add it to certain different parts of the game. So for example, maybe we add a few to the silver track, maybe we add some to challenge levels, maybe we add some to other places. And maybe we'll make some different types of chests. So maybe we have like event-specific chests where maybe you get the pool is like all temp troops, or maybe like it's cosmetic-specific chests. And these are some of the plans we have going forward. Hopefully it goes well in this first release though.
So do we have any more plans for future events?
Like the big moments in the game is when we release new town hall updates. But what happens between those updates? And with events, we want to create like really exciting moments for players in between that are really fun and varied and novel. And we do have some plans. So hopefully by the end of this year, we have something pretty special and unique that could be coming. And then next year, our main focus will be on creating this new social event type. So the last time Home Village has had like a new social event is with clan games, and maybe next year something else comes.
다음은 영웅 장비 밸런스 조정에 관한 내용입니다.
But is that a reason as well of why we decide to also nerf and not just buff them?
Competitive game modes like Wars and Legend League are becoming less interesting.
Is this something we can expect in the future? Are you going to keep?
We are not going to do that regularly, balancing when possible. But if something turns out to be too strong, we will probably have to adjust it eventually. And if something turns out to be too weak, we will have to buff.
For a new balance update coming up anytime soon or not yet?
For equipment, we don't have anything planned at the moment. And it takes a lot of resources to upgrade your equipment. So we would want to avoid any hasty decisions in this because we know that players spend their resources on them. Players would feel that they have spent resources on something that becomes useless.
다음은 마법 간식에 관한 내용입니다.
What's your favorite magic snack so far?
Well, I have two of them. The first one is the training treat. I really like how it changed my strategies for battling and wars. And the second one is the Mighty Morsel, because I love having my equipments on maximum level.
And I think one of the main differences here between the magic items we have in the game and the magic snacks is that, well, two, they expire and they can't be stacked. So does that mean that magic snacks are going to be easier to find the game compared to this magic item?
We want to expand your opportunities to get them in the game. At the moment, you can only acquire them through the treasure hunt event, so you get them through the chests. But I think slowly we are gonna see like what are the other spots in the game that we can include them, always with that mantra of rewarding players for their engagement.
여기에 더해 영상 끝에 간식에 관한 아이디어를 유저들에게 묻고 있는데 영상에서 나오는 것뿐만 아니라 크로클과 관련해서 개선사항이나 아이디어를 댓글로 남겨주시면 제가 힘은 없지만 슈퍼셀의 의견을 전달해 보도록 하겠습니다. 자, 도움이 되셨다면 영상 좋아요와 구독, 크리에이트 코드 FADA 받아 인게임 상점과 슈퍼셀 스토어에서 한 번씩 입력해 주시면 감사하겠습니다.